You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in beautiful Northport, Florida. It is a nice and cool day out there, very pleasant to hang out. Just be careful on your way home. We're getting into the holiday rush hour craziness and all of the northerners around town. So take your time, get home safe, and let's not have any mishaps on your way home. Just be careful out there. A reminder. I've got two really special people in the house today. Been past several times been on the show from Parks and Rec, and there's a ton going on. So I'm going to let Shelby introduce herself, and then we'll go around to Trish real quick.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shelby Mendelson, and I am the Recreation Manager with the Northport Parks and Recreation Department. And as John mentioned, we have a lot going on this holiday season that we are so excited to inform everyone of.
And Trish?
Good afternoon. I am Trish Sturgess, the Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Northport, and I'm pleased to be here this afternoon and get everybody up to date on what's going on in our lovely city.
Well, we have a ton going on. I'm going to kind of start out with Shelby, and do you want to kind of highlight the schedule of events that are going on while I put them up on the screen also?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you don't know already, this weekend we have our annual Poinsettia Parade and Festival taking place on December 2nd, which is this Saturday from 4 to 8 p.m. We have our parade kicking off down Sumter at 5 o'clock, and it's going to be a big one this year. We have over 60 parade units participating in this year's parade. And as I mentioned, we also have the festival aspect of this event. So at 4 o'clock on the City Center front green, the Hip Squad, which is a local band, is going to kick it off for us, really bringing in the holiday spirit and getting us going there. Then at about 5 o'clock, we'll switch over to our parade team as they get to introduce all of those lovely units that make their way down. Some other schedule of events that we have for this event are going to be our community performers. So we are so lucky to have Imagine School of Young Marines that will be doing the color guard in correlation with Miss Linda Zick, who will be performing our national anthem. We will have the Northport High School Choir at our tree lighting ceremony that will take place after the Poinsettia Parade has passed the main streets here on City Center Boulevard. We'll also have a few local organizations. We have Impressions Dance Company performing. We have Legions of Dragons fire performers. And we also have Universal Dance Academy that will be closing out the evening for us. So lots of great events to look forward to at the upcoming Poinsettia. Some free alternatives for people that they're going to be able to enjoy are going to be Santa's Workshop. So we'll have a craft workshop for the kiddos that they can come on out and participate in. We will do the Happy Bounce there with lots of inflatable fun for all of the kids and spectators to be able to attend. And then, of course, most importantly, the man himself, Santa Claus, will be at the Poinsettia Parade and Festival to take photos and get to know all of our community and see what the kiddos would like this year for Christmas and the holiday season. We'll have about 15 food trucks on site available for purchase, wow. Which is huge. We have definitely upped that this year, seeing how many people we have come out to these events. And then we'll have between 15 to 20 holiday market shopping village merchandise groups out there. That will have all sorts of crafts. Different businesses will be out there, so you can get some more information on what they serve here in the community.
That sounds fantastic. Trish, is there anything you'd like to add into that?
No, I think that's a great summary of what we have going on. The only thing I would like to highlight is this year, post-parade, Santa will be moving into GMAC, into the Community Activity Center, to make sure that people aren't heading up towards City Hall looking for him, because he's always been in City Hall. He'll be over there for photo opportunities. City Hall will remain open for the beautiful decorating that it always has and people to see that, but the big man himself will be in GMAC.
So GMAC, highlight that a little bit so maybe people who have never been around town understand what GMAC is.
All right. Well, GMAC is our George Mullen Activity Center located here on the City Center campus. And we will have a nice lighted arch pathway going from the festival area on the City Center Green toward the Mullen Center. So that way people are able to go straight over there and experience what's going on in that building.
And the Mullen Center has bathrooms. Are they going to be open too for that
They
event?
will be open. Yeah, they will be open through the event. The gingerbread houses will be on display from our gingerbread workshop. And, there'll be a little bit of other fun things to do in and around that area.
So, talk to me a little bit about the coordination of all this and how the city has worked with all the different facets of making an event like this go off.
Definitely. That's a great question. So this truly is a citywide event that takes place each year. And with that comes a lot of coordination amongst the different departments. So we're talking coordination between solid waste, police, fire, communications, public works, utilities. Each one of these departments plays a vital role in the success of this event. So even though we spearhead, we do rely heavily on them. So we utilize something called the incident command system, which is a great way when you have these large scaled events to get everyone essentially on the same page. So basically what we do is we meet at least 6 months out. Starting, we'll meet, once a month, bi-weekly, to really set the framework for what we need to have happen for this event. And then as we get closer, we just sort of increase those meetings to be a little bit more frequent. We use a special event application process, again, to make sure everyone knows their role in this event. And then day of, we do have an EOC where we house all of those people. That way we can communicate effectively should any issues arise or, just in case we need to speak with one another day of to make sure everything does factor into play.
So let's take a scenario that kind of sometimes plays out this way. Unfortunately, we get maybe a lost child. Are there going to be police officers and stuff around the event?
There absolutely will be. There will be several units placed throughout the event. On our holiday map, we do outline the primary area where we will house any lost children, if there are to be any, which will be near the Parks and Recreation welcome tent. So if you do, come across that situation, that would be your first stop, would be the Parks and Recreation welcome tent, which will be located on the City Center front green.
Awesome. Do you know approximately where that is as far as the location in accordance to the stage that will be set up?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're looking at the showmobile stage and you're staring at it, like Trish had mentioned, along that lighted pathway, it would be slightly to the right, straight down that lighted pathway. You'll see our tent there.
Yeah, you guys, I think last year were almost even with that. And there was an entry in, kind of a entry into the listening area on the green. And your tent was right part of that opening, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So it's the same location this year?
Yes.
Fantastic. That was a great spot for you guys to be, especially for one representing the city, but also as far as a central location for any safety issues that are out there. Are we still going to have the porta potties and everything lined up like we did last year too?
Yep. There will be portalettes throughout the City Center front green.
And so we kind of thinking about everything, right, in totality. The even the route itself, it's been very carefully laid out, hasn't it?
It absolutely has. The route is very specific. We use MOT road closures that are set. The team actually comes out around noon to get sort of staged and in place because we do shut down the northbound side of Sumter.
So there is still flow of traffic in and out of the city on Sumter, isn't there?
There is. There absolutely is.
If people were going to go sit on Sumter, which side should they be sitting on? Because both sides are not going to give you the view, and you definitely don't want people running across the main road to get to the seating area, correct?
Absolutely. We want everyone to sit on the northbound side, which is where the parade route will be coming down.
And that would be the closest one to City Hall, correct?
That's correct.
Yep. So if you're heading out to 75, uh, leaving the city to go to 75, that is where the parade route is. If you sit on the other side, you're going to be sitting from a distance, but you're also going to be putting your kids and family in harm's way because the flow of traffic is not going to stop, and it's going to be going both ways instead of just one direction. So be very careful in that area. I know that we had police officers out there kind of monitoring that whole thing. We're still going to do that same thing, correct?
Yep, that's correct. So that lane will close down at 2:00, the northbound lane. And essentially the parade starts at 5. So it's always good to remember that in terms of planning, letting yourself, like you said at the beginning of this radio show, to make sure you go slow and steady. Plan for that it's going to be one lane traffic if you are trying to get onto 75, and just to plan accordingly.
Are we going to start putting the signs out on the roads talking about the Poinsettia Parade, or are they already up?
So we don't do too much signage prior to the event, just because we do have an ordinance about signage in the right-of-ways. So that's a big piece. We do a lot of our advertising on social media. You will see some signs out on the day of on the city center front green with some directions about where restrooms are, where parking is, all of those pieces.
And if I could just jump in there real quick, just to say it's not that we just decide what lanes get closed. We actually work with city traffic engineers to make sure that this flow is appropriate, and it has minimum impact on the public at that time. So we still, in essence, get to maximize what people can see for the parade without too much hindrance to the travel through that corridor.
Well, I know I walked the parade. I think it was last year that I actually walked the parade, and it's a really nice route. And there's a lot of space for if you wanted to go out and sit on Sumter. There's a lot of space there that you can take advantage of. But there's also the area at City Hall that leaves a lot of viewer opportunity. If people are coming to be part of the festivities at the City of the Green, where would you suggest they start parking?
Yep. Parking, that's always the best question, right? Everyone wants the best parking. So definitely I would start at the George Mullen Activity Center campus. There is limited parking after everyone starts pulling in and getting into their spots. But I would start there. We will also have parking at the City Hall campus, which is right by where City Hall is essentially. If you find yourself in a bind for parking and it's getting closer to the event and you know things are going to start filling up, we will have a complimentary shuttle at the Morgan Family Community Center that will be taking individuals to both festival and parade throughout the duration of the evening.
So there's a great overflow scenario there. And the one thing I want to kind of talk about, because it has changed around City Halls, we have a lot of buildings up now and a lot of that parking. How would you address that with our residents now about pulling into some of those businesses and parking in their business locations compared to last year?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would definitely encourage everyone to be cognizant of where they are parking and knowing that a lot of those businesses are still operating during that time. Those are not designated parking spots for us. We do work with those companies and those groups prior to let them know that this is coming. This is something that's going to be happening. They're going to see heightened traffic. The Walmart neighborhood market has always been very, very great about having sort of another location where people can walk across the street. So that's another really good one. But you are completely correct. There are a lot more businesses in that area now where people would normally have parked.
And we used to have, we were kind of blessed because that area didn't have the buildings, but we had some open field space that was utilized. That's kind of been cut down a little bit now. And there's still some opportunity if you get there early enough.
Yep.
What time does the event start again? And then let's kind of push people to get there early because there's food, there's entertainment, there's all kinds of things that are happening there. But kind of give a highlight of what time you should get there to get the best parking on site.
If you want to get the best on-site parking, I would say do not arrive any later than 3:30.
Yeah,
The festival activities kick off at 4, so that is when our band sort of kicks off the show for us. And we have our on-stage announcements. The food trucks are going. The bounce houses are up. All those pieces there.
So the whole key to any great event is being there early enough to enjoy all the festivities, but also have the opportunity to park your vehicle close enough. And let's talk about the exit strategy a little bit, because that throws a wrench into a lot of people's evening a lot of times, but we've kind of nailed that down too. So can you explain how that's going to flow this year?
Yep, absolutely. So the entry and exit to the City Center front campus will close at 4 o'clock. You will not be able to get to or from City Center campus with a vehicle until after the parade has passed. Because keeping in mind, we have that parade come down City Center Boulevard onto the main streets, and it's going all the way down. So in terms of exiting, it really will be dependent on when the parade ends. I can give an estimate time of around 6:15, 6:30, depending on how fast those units go. But that is a good peace of mind there for you.
And do we have currently any knowledge of how many floats we have in the parade this year and compared to last year?
We have a bunch more than we had last year. We are over 60 at this point, which is our biggest amount that we've had. For the 60th anniversary a few years ago, we hit 60. So we are slightly over that at this point.
And Trish, is there anything you'd like to add in that we've been highlighting so far?
No, I think that really does cover it. And just reminding the public that, yes, getting there early, being patient with our neighbors as we all try to exit. It's going to take some time for all of those floats, 60 people, to disembark and get their vehicles back roadworthy as they're ending the parade as well. So somebody who wants to get out quickly may look to utilize the Morgan Family Community Center for that shuttle parking, because it would not prohibit them from exiting quickly before we can reopen roads.
Fantastic. And it is going to take a little bit of time for 60 floats to come down through.
Absolutely.
What's our time frame again?
So parade's going to kick off at 5 o'clock from Sylvania at the start. And we're looking at about 6:15, 6:30 by the time everyone is in through disembarkment. So about an hour and a half. So
let's talk a little bit about because there is an hour and a half worth of time frame. People should take some precautions, maybe water, seating, different things like that. Can you kind of highlight what you would suggest for them to take with them along the parade route?
Definitely. That's a great question. So water is a big one. Want to make sure that we stay hydrated. Some lawn chairs or blankets for the kiddos to sit on is always great. Small toys, games, anything that would keep the little ones busy while you wait for the parade to reach you. Keeping in mind, we're sort of the last end of it there on the City Center campus. We're going to get the parade units coming to an end at that point. So we want to make sure that they know that they have some time, that they'll have to wait for the parade to get to them. But yeah, just being prepared for a really great time. I have been able to see a lot of the parade units and see the descriptions that everyone has been sending in for their floats and things. And it is going to be an absolutely magnificent parade. We have some fun pieces of the parade that I definitely wanted to highlight. So we have the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile that is going to be in the Northport Poinsettia Parade. There has been a lot of talk about it, and I think that everyone is super excited to have this as a part of something so historic that we have here in Northport. So we're looking forward to that. We have marching bands, we have dance groups, we have huge floats, we have golf carts, we have trucks, we have walkers, we have dogs. You name it, we probably have it.
We have fire. We have fire show. We have a fire show.
We have a fire show that's going to take place at the festival after the tree lighting. So it's really going to be a wonderful event. And the parade is definitely going to be worth the wait while you wait out there for the parade to start.
So with everything that's happening there, let's kind of highlight, I think, some of route safety kind of things, because we highlighted the staying hydrated and having things to do, but let's talk about when the route starts. There are a lot of times that there's some candy being thrown and different things like that handed out. Can you kind of highlight what people should be prepared for?
Yes. So in terms of candy, we do ask that all of the parade units actually pass off their candy. We really do not want candy to be thrown into the roads, because, as you mentioned, that will have children want to run into the roads and get that candy and grab it. So in our parade unit training and in our upcoming meeting that we have on Thursday, we really, really emphasize that with our parade units, that we do not tolerate the throwing of candy.
Awesome.
Now, we do have kiddos and parents and all of those types of people walking down the parade to pass out candy, and that is wonderful, and that's something that we definitely want to keep. We just want to keep it safe. So keeping your children back is a big piece for us. We do not want them in the roadways with the parade units coming down. So just keep them back and near you at all times.
Well, and the other side of that too, along with the safety, it's the safety for the parade itself, because there is something to be said with running an event with zero mishaps.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys tend to take a lot of pride in that, because there's hours and hours of work preemptively that goes into coordinating all this. Can you kind of talk about how the partnership that you guys have within the city and how you've coordinated all this and how you highlight the safety factor?
Yeah. So safety is definitely our first priority. We take several precautions, specifically our police and fire units take several precautions leading up to this event to make sure that we are all on the same page with safety. So something really neat that we do as part of that incident command system I was telling you about is we do something called a tabletop exercise before each of these large signature events. And that's when we're given essentially a scenario of, so, this came up, this happened, how are we going to combat this? How are we going to overcome this and make sure that the event is still successful? Typically, those scenarios that we're given are very much worst case scenarios. So we as a team, we sit down and do a whole brainstorming session to make sure we know who plays what role in this type of recovery effort, essentially. And that, I think, speaks to how important we take safety above all else, is the safety of our patrons, the participants, city staff as well. We need to make sure that everyone is safe. So we take several precautions for that.
So anybody out there in the listening audience, if you're on Facebook and you have a question, please put it out. We would love to hear any questions that citizens have pertaining to this topic. If you have another topic that you would want to discuss, we're open to that too, and I can take that in for future notes. But let's stay with the parade for a few more minutes. Yep. The whole thing that you guys have now put together with the different food trucks, I want to kind of highlight that, because there was a big smile on your face when you started talking about the food truck vendors themselves. Can you highlight what people are going to see out there food-wise with the food trucks that are coming?
Yeah, 100%. And you mentioned that. And the reason I get so excited about all of those aspects is because really this is not just a city event. This is a Northport community event. It takes several people, several businesses, small businesses, which I think is amazing, to make this event happen. So before I jump on the food vendors, I really quick want to mention our sponsors that have played some sort of role in this event. So we have Quality TV, which is our parade presenting sponsor, and we have Achieva Credit Union, which is our festival presenting sponsor. We also have Hughes Exterminators, do the Happy Bounce, Oscar Mayer, the Young Marines, Northport Arts Center, Sunbelt Rentals, the Daily Sun, Kiwanis Club of Northport, the Northport Area Chamber of Commerce, the Home Depot, Sarasota County, Turfus, Face Painting by Remy, and Twisty Balloon Fun. Are just a few of the local businesses that have played some type of role in this event, whether it be an in-kind sponsorship, monetary sponsorship, and then our food vendors, right? Our food vendors and our festival vendors are a huge piece. So food vendors, we definitely opened up this year just because of the amount of people we have out there. Want to cut down on those lines while also giving those local businesses opportunity here in the community. So we'll have food vendors along the city center front green, which is right by that showmobile you were talking about, the main showmobile stage.
Yep.
And then we're going to have our dessert vendors. So those are your ice creams, your shaved ice, maybe your popcorn, your hot chocolate. Those are all going to be staged in the near the George Mullen Activity Center portico area, which Trish had mentioned earlier is right down that lighted pathway. So we'll have 2 separate locations that you're able to visit throughout the duration of the evening. But you'll see everything. You'll see American cuisine, Mexican cuisine, Polish cuisine, Italian cuisine. There's a lot of options for everyone.
Is this one of the biggest food truck events that we've had? I'm trying not to highlight it too much, but I think it's phenomenal.
It truly is. You know, we have Freedom Festival. We take quite a few food trucks there as well. But this is the most food trucks that we're going to do thus far, specifically at Poinsettia. And it's essentially because we recognize the need and we want to meet the needs of the community by having enough options for everyone.
And, you highlighted some of the businesses that are out there. Quality TV is on US 41 across from the old Winn-Dixie. Yeah. And they've been around for a lot of years and been participating for a lot of years. I've been here since 2000, and I've heard Quality TV mentioned, I think, every year for something that they've sponsored within the city, which I think, and Achieva, I can't say enough about Achieva. I love how they interact with every community that they're in up and down the coast. And but I wanted to highlight Quality just because, when you do it for so many years that you're so prone to hear the name.
Yeah.
I hope that other companies that are out there that are doing it for the first time or the 5th time continue to do it so that you have that same feeling when everyone hears your name. It's 20 years worth of being solid within the community and being a good working partnership. You kind of highlighted the Chamber of Commerce. Can you kind of highlight what your working relationship is with them and how they've assisted through this? Because they've had to have played some role as far as inviting businesses to get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. We have such an amazing collaborative effort with the Chamber of Commerce, to be quite honest with you. From our Newcomer Day events and working with them in those areas, they really put together, these new local businesses and Northport events and making sure that they all work together. I mean, because of them, we were able to send out opportunities for Poinsettia Parade and Festival to several new businesses. And you'll see a lot of these new businesses are going to be participating, whether it's in the parade, whether it's in the festival, whether it was by providing some type of sponsorship. Really, it speaks huge to all of the work that they do. And they are a pleasure to work with for sure.
Fantastic. You've got a couple other events coming up too. I see that there's a Swim with Santa.
Yes, Swim with Santa. So our amazing aquatics division is going to be hosting Swim with Santa on December 16th. It's going to be from 12 to 2. You do have to pre-register. It's only $10 per child and their supervising adult. They're going to have crafts. They're going to have games. They're going to have hot chocolate and cookies, which who knows with the weather, what it's going to be looking like on the 16th. It's been so up and down. It's hard to tell sometimes. But then the coolest part of this event, which I just think is awesome, is that Santa will actually be in the pool with the kiddos interacting. I don't know where else you can get that this time of year. So I definitely encourage everyone to check it out. Come to both Poinsettia Parade and Festival and Swim with Santa. It is definitely worth your time in making those holiday memories with your family for sure.
So I'm going to bring Trish in real quick because the Aquatic Center and Trish kind of are synonymous with each other. Trish, is there anything you'd like to add in about the Aquatic Center and all of the effort that goes into making that a vital piece of our city?
Oh, it has become a gem of Northport for sure, especially even for myself. When my grandkids are here visiting, that's the first thing they ask me to go to. And we spend many, many hours in those water slides and in water. But I think it's really important that this experience of Swim with Santa is something that's so uniquely Florida, that it gives our visitors and our kids a chance to, shine and have those Santa pictures in a different and very, very Florida way. So we really encourage that every year, that since that program, when we opened at inception in 2019, it has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. Along with our pumpkin plunge, they're very unique situations to have here. So we really enjoy all the families coming out. And the biggest part of that one too is you only pay for your child. So parents get in for free to enjoy the time with them there. There's always lots of gifts and things that happen for draws. And it's just a really nice afternoon to spend out with your family on a maybe hot, maybe not so hot day.
Well, I'm from up north, so I can tell you, if we tried to swim with Santa up north, we'd call that dipping into the ice.
Right.
There is such a thing as the polar bear plunge, and that's different than swim with Santa Claus down here, correct?
Absolutely. We do have the heated pool. The competition pool there is heated. Kids do have the opportunity to go in the other pools, but they tend to stay in there very infrequently because they like to get back in that big pool, which is a little bit warmer. So it is a good experience, and to have those unique shared memories and photos of actually being in the pool with Santa in his Hawaiian Christmas shirt is pretty fun.
So I'm a fan of the pool area itself. Can you kind of highlight how our year was this year with the pool, and kind of talk about the advantages for the city now in comparison to last year?
Absolutely. I mean, the pool, we were shut down in October, unfortunately, due to Hurricane Ian, but with very diligent and hardworking staff, we were able to clear the debris out of the pool and get it reopened so that our Northport High Bobcats could finish their swim season. So we were very happy with that. Many of the other local areas didn't get back in the pool to finish those out because pools were shut down. We were actually able to even host the Port Charlotte high school so that they could finish their swim season with us. So that was really great. Although we didn't get that month of revenue from the water park being open, we still did serve the community to the fullest. So the year, though, we saw over 95,000 visitors through the doors at the Aquatic Center. So that has grown. It actually qualified us for one of those highway signs now. We're going to have that Northport Aquatic Center at the exit, which is really nice.
That's big.
And, the concessions tend to still boom. We made over $200,000 in that concessions this year to help support and keep this coming. And we're really proud to have it as an amenity here in our city.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the work you guys do with the second graders on getting them through, because I brag about it nonstop wherever I go in other cities. But we really target our youth to keep them water cognitive, I guess, would be the word. But can you kind of talk about that impact that we're making within the school system and within our neighborhoods to keep our kids safer and more happy in the water?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, child drowning is, the leading cause of death in children under 4. And living here in Florida, which is very much a sandbar with water all around us, it is extremely important that we're educating our children. And it still amazes me every year. And I've been part of that second grade swim class for a number of years. I was actually part of its inception when the Monda family first took it on. We were able this year to get over 600 kids, 630 some odd children through the doors. They participated in 5 days of swim lessons. So that's over 30 classrooms full of children. And when those classes come in, it's always amazing to see on the first day that, of a class of, say, 25 children, the largest group is still the little to no swimming ability group. But by the time they leave, they've left with water safety education. They've left with the importance of how it is to learn to float before you learn to swim, to learn to yell for help when needed, to be able to get to a safe position in the water and yell for help is half the battle. So we really focus on that, and we really focus on educating the families through literature that goes home, to let them know that there's no child in Northport that has to not have a swim lesson, because we have scholarships and we have programs. The Northport Rotary is a proud and generous donator every year, and we have other donations that come in that we can provide those swimming lessons for them. I think we lost you for a little bit there, John.
Can't hear you, John.
So Chuck English had a question. His question was, congratulations on the new nature trail between Appomattox and Price Boulevard, part of the 20-year vision. Can you tell me any future plans as it relates to the city-owned natural area parks, and what is the level of service in the ULDC for parks, open space, and natural area parks? Thanks for the question, Chuck. Go ahead.
Thanks a lot. Really nice to see you on here paying attention. And we are extremely happy that this 20-year vision has come to fruition. We are in the process of the Myakkahatchee Environmental Park updating the master plan for that. So that's our next step, because it is a little outdated at this point. And so we need to make sure that we get that updated to see what is relevant and what is important for those lands as they sit now with the development that's happened over the last 20 years since the plan was initially incepted. The other piece to that, the ULDC, what we aim for is 8 acres of parkland per 1,000 residents. That kind of keeps us within the national standards and keeps us with NRPA, who we are certified through CAPRA, which is our accrediting agency as a Northport Parks and Recreation agency. That accreditation is very important to us. So we always try to stay at that place. I know that we are working, myself and Sandy Fundheller, the director of Parks and Recreation, working closely with the directors of neighborhood development to make sure that we are getting parklands put in. Ultimately, I would personally love to have, every child in Northport be able to walk to a park within 15 minutes. Is it realistic where we sit right now? I'd like to say yes. It's just going to take some serious planning and acquisition of lands to do so. But we have to protect what we have already. As Chuck knows, those lands are vastly getting bought up, and we need to be on course with that too and protect what we have.
And there is a lot of planning that is already taking place in Parks and Rec for the future, correct?
There is. We have a master plan. Again, we're at that point in our master planning that it's up for renewal, because the master plan was created and it's had a 10-year life, and now we're at the end of that life. So we're at the infancy of taking those next steps and building what that looks like with the way our city has changed and grown. I don't know if it wasn't up for renewal, if it would even be relevant with the changes we've seen over the last 10 years here. So we would still be at that place where we were redoing that.
I kind of have to smile because I don't know that any plan that we had within the last 10 years is current anymore because of the speed in which we are growing. We have kind of taken on the role of at least the number one or the number two city growth, sometimes in the nation. And that's hard to do, and it's hard to keep up with any plan that we have, but at least we're, I think, doing the best we can at this point. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I absolutely would agree with that. I think it's a very tough place to be in when your city is growing so much, and you just can't predict, 6 months down the road or a year down the road to staff and to see events. We've seen exponential growth in our Freedom Festival, in our trick or treat. We passed 6,000 kids coming through there this year. These are big jumps. So you're doing that with the same amount of people. So we have to really make sure that our moves are concise and calculated, that we're doing them the right way.
And let's talk about that for just a quick second, because we've got about 15 minutes left total in the show, and I really appreciate the question from Chuck, but it kind of highlights some things too, is that we can have a plan, we can have everything there, but we're still talking about the same number of staff doing a double the number job.
Exactly.
These events. And
Exactly.
can you talk about how you have to be more precise now? Because, and volunteer wise, are we even looking at volunteers, or do we have volunteers that are helping with these events? And how would you handle that?
We absolutely do. I mean, the Awakened Church is instrumental in our egg hunts and things like that. We welcome the volunteer process whenever we can. It's not something we can rely upon, because not every event draws that number of volunteers. But as a city as a whole, things like, you'll see those things like the Poinsettia Festival and Parade or the Trick or Treat event that are citywide. So we have support internally when Parks and Rec is saturated. Public Works is out there helping us with trash and helping us with setting up with MOTs, and other departments pick up and help us. So we're lucky enough to be able to do it that way. But we are going to come to that point where we're getting so big and our events have to evolve with the size of the city, and that's going to take some expansion.
But it's nice. It's nice to have that fallback when you need volunteers, to be able to count on certain organizations to step in and fill that gap, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the Rotary, there's a lot of work. The Environmental Conservancy, I cannot say enough about them. We have a phenomenal partnership with them with our Go Green with Parks program. They work with one of our recreation supervisors to provide an experience on the environmental side of things here in Northport, and that's just growing with their participation. So there's a lot of opportunity for it. We just need to keep getting that word out, and then bringing them all in wherever we can.
Well, and there is something to be said about having a strong Parks and Rec system within the young community that we have here. And as far as I kind of want to draw the tax side of things in, because we are going into the new year, and we have done a really good job monitoring our tax rate, which I've talked in depth about with the city manager and several of the commissioners. Their goal is to keep the rate down. That really affects your budgets too, and how you guys deal with things. And I kind of want you to highlight really how you're doing all of these things, and they're growing, and yet I don't believe your budget changed too much for next year.
It absolutely did not. I see Shelby's face on there.
Yeah.
Yep. They have done a phenomenal job. I mean, staff are challenged with being a good steward of those funds, and they find new and inventive ways to do things every time, whether it's staff taking on a different role. Sometimes it's even getting a contract in to do something as opposed to staff time. So we're really watching every nickel and dime and making sure that it's going to the right place. We're making sure that we have the right people in place. And and then just hopefully things like growing the floats at the parade and having more entries than we've taken past make the event bigger and last longer, but don't cost us any dollars. So they're really looking at those things all the time to how do we bring more in. This year at the trick or treat, we had a ton more businesses participate to hand out candy. Those types of things. So they're getting out there. They're working with economic development to touch base with all the new businesses to make sure that they're engaging them. And we have a sponsorship department here that works really hard at reaching out to get those presenting sponsors, to get those people involved from the community where we can.
You keep and I love this side of it. We keep talking about the addition to working relationships. You just talked about the economic development department, and when you are a citizen here, and we're talking to you about higher taxes than or lower taxes than, and that how do we budget for things? We literally are just saying Parks and Rec didn't have an increase to their budget for next year, and yet they're doing more, but they're trying to even manage that dollar less, and try. I think you're trying to maximize the rate of return on every decision you make. Would that be an accurate statement?
Absolutely. The division managers, myself, our operations manager, we hound out those budget numbers right down to a key, and make sure that we are getting every dollar out of it we possibly can. Parks and Recreation is really, they're a quality of life as a whole department, and we don't have the joy of people going, we have to have Parks and Rec, we have to have these dollars here, like we do with fire and police and our necessities. And I get that as a Northport resident myself. I get that, but the quality of life for our youth, as our demographic in Northport is so much heavier in youth than our surrounding areas, we need those places for our youth to go. I was a latchkey kid. Parks and Rec was my home in my youth. We're providing that opportunity for our youth here in Northport. We're providing, more than 80 summer jobs for our youth, and some of them year-round first-time jobs. So our commitment is very much to a quality of life, but it's also to a way of life for the youth.
Well, we've also had several graduate from high school here and be part of Parks and Rec and City Hall and the fire department and the police department. And we're always talking about having the young people, and I'm not dissing the older population at all, but we're always, as parents, we're always saying, I wish there was a way to keep more of our youth here in our hometown versus sending them away to go to work. And Parks and Rec is a key piece to that a lot of times, let alone the police department and the fire department and other jobs that are out there with public works. And the city is a vital part of making our city move forward in a lot of regards, but it also is a vital part of keeping property values up and really making the city more user friendly or family friendly. Can you kind of highlight the importance in your mind, Trish, on why people should really start wrapping their arms around the efforts that you guys are trying to make?
Absolutely. I think, as I said before, the youth that frequent our centers and attend our events is extremely important for them to have something to do. It's extremely important for them to have a sense of community, a sense of belonging, a place where they can go in and have a teen talk and know that our staff are listening to what their needs are and the things that they want to move forward. That's huge. And not that we don't have problem youth in the area, but this substantially reduces it when they have the access to get to after school programs and centers that embrace their way of life. We all were a youth at one point in time, and I can't say that I used a park the same way I do today, but our centers and our parks understand, that after school, coming into the Morgan Family Community Center, you're going to have an influx of youth, and it's their time. And that makes a huge difference to their quality of life, as well as their parents, knowing that they have a safe place. And when we have parents who are, right now, we're very heavy in that commuter time of our parents are going out of the city to work. So who would be here with those children? I think that's a big thing to wrap our hands around. And it's the same as some of those older people that, they wouldn't want those youth to be problematic either. So embrace that and let us provide that opportunity, and know that starts for us, whether it be the water babies that are going in for a parent and child class, and all the way up to 65-year-olds, 70-year-olds who are recovering from a hip replacement can utilize our parks system in one way or another for health and wellness.
Well, and I want to highlight this too, is because there are organizations that work within our community centers that really help a lot of youths too, don't they? We have that access, right?
We do. We have that access. Our community centers take part in the You Are Not Alone program that partners with the schools. Parks and Recreation is a huge partnership department. We really pride ourselves on making sure that we have partners that can access whatever needs the kids have. And that one has, Holly's Hope, and Child Protective Services. There's a lot of connections that can be made by making a friend at a rec center.
And I saw Shelby; she was like nodding her head in agreement. But from your perspective, what's the connection that the youth have at the community centers themselves? And because they're everywhere I go, they're vital. They seem to be that vital piece for the youth. And the older population too. They're using the gym. They're doing all these other things. But one of the things that I like to highlight is that if we take our Parks and Rec away, where are the youth going to go?
Yep.
And seriously, our biggest complaint in this city is we don't have enough for youth to do. So we're doing a great job really focusing in on where are you going to put 5 or 6 elementary school kids full of kids. Where are they going to go if you don't give them some parks to play in? Yeah. And I know my granddaughters, if they were here, that we'd be at the parks every day, because when I go up to Cuyahoga Falls, we play a game called park hunting, and we go to every park that we can, and they get to pick 4 or 5. And then we go to lunch, and they tell me what their favorite part of the park was. We spend a half hour at each park. They get in the car and they leave because they know they're going to another park. Mm-hmm. So you spend a couple hours doing parks. But it's funny if people actually did that with their kids, and a lot of parents do local parks, but if you challenge them to look at other parks, there's a vast amount of difference in the parks that we have. And can you talk about that for the next couple minutes, Shelby, and why that's important?
Yeah, so when I look at our facilities in the Parks and Recreation Department as a whole, like you mentioned, there's a vast difference between each one and what the offerings are. And I think that's so important for the community to remember that. I mean, we have our outdoor spaces. We have fields. We provide field opportunities for thousands of kids each season for their leagues and utilizing those areas. The parks, all you see all weekend long is birthday parties. School groups gather in the parks as part of homeschooling programs. The aquatic center, during the summer season, there is no downtime at that aquatic center. It is full on go. The community centers, we have kids that participate in a program called DeFi, which is a drug-free youth program that we partner with. That gives them free memberships to this facility, so they don't have to worry about not having somewhere to go before or after school when mom or dad needs to drop them off. So I don't think I can hear you.
1 minute.
Oh, okay, 1 minute. So just looking at those facilities alone, the George Mullen Activity Center, we see baby showers, we see rentals, we see weddings. We've had several weddings at the Morgan Family Community Center over the past few months. And just to know that we've had such an impact to be able to have those types of events it's wonderful to see, because it really shows the importance that Parks and Recreation has here.
And don't forget to pick up your playbook. You can find it online. You can go to City Hall and pick up a playbook. You can go to the Chamber of Commerce and pick up a playbook. You can go to the Morgan and gosh, where else?
Mullen Center.
And you can pick up playbooks. So come out to the festival, pick up a playbook while you're there. Show it to your kids, because seriously, it's a great time at all of our parks. Check them out and then give feedback on the parks. They would, Parks and Rec would love to hear from every citizen out there on what they like and what we need to improve on at the parks. If you get involved and stay involved, your parks will change right in front of your eyes, because you guys are also looking to improve everything about the parks, aren't you?
Absolutely. And just so you know, a little insider tip, we will have Turfist tumbler cups available for the first about 90 people who take our survey this weekend at the Poinsettia Parade and Festival. So if you take that survey, you find us at the welcome tent, and you're one of those first 90 people, you're getting a Turfist tumbler cup for free. So
Awesome.
Definitely give us some feedback.
Well, this is John Rawlings with WKDW Radio saying thanks for listening in. Trish and Shelby, I appreciate you. Parks and Rec is awesome. Go check out the parade. Have a great time. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you need any more information, look it up on the Facebook page or online at Parks and Rec through the city of Northport. You guys have a blessed day. Thanks for being part of the show, and appreciate you both. Thank you very much, Trish, and thanks, Shelby.
Thanks, John. Have a good
All right. This is John Rawlings saying thank you so much. Bye-bye now.